The day my best friend slit her throat to escape this world, I said I wanted to leave too. The whole family was having dinner. At my words, everyone froze for a second. Second brother was the first to burst out laughing. Look at our third sister, still daydreaming about being a transmigrator. Mother shot me a scolding glance. Are you throwing another tantrum over what happened to your cousin Anran? I stayed silent. Only Shwe Isu knew I meant every word. He lowered his voice, drawling lazily. The eldest princess was bright, independent, and resourceful. She had a wealthy family back in the modern world. What do you have? Go back to being an orphan once you leave here. He peeled a shrimp for me meticulously. Jingmo, be good. That whole playing hard to get act is stupid. Don't bother with it. I slowly finished the rice in my bowl, then smiled too. Yes, I really had nothing. But I'd completed the mission, claimed the 10 million yuan reward. Finding a new home wouldn't be that hard. When news of my best friend's suicide broke, I'd been kneeling in the ancestral hall for a full day and night. I stumbled to my feet, light-headed, as if trapped between dream and reality. My personal maid Xiaodao rushed over to help me, her eyes red with anger. If that cousin of yours hadn't stirred up trouble, how would you have fallen into the water on such a cold day? Thank goodness Lord Shwe saved you. She sighed dejectedly. I just don't get it. The young lord clearly saw what happened. Why didn't he speak up for you? I froze. His indifferent expression flashed before my eyes. Jingmo, she's just a poor girl living under someone else's roof. If she'd been punished on the spot, she'd never have gotten over it. The little maid kept grumbling away. But I heard none of it. 32 deep drumbeats echoed through the imperial capital. A dull, throbbing pain spread through my chest. I shook my head, tears streaming down my face. Xiaodao. I heard the eldest princess. Her voice softened. The eldest princess has passed away. The imperial consort spat blood on the spot and still hasn't woken up. The emperor flew into a rage. He stripped the consort of his mansion and fiefs on charges of doting on his concubine and neglecting his wife, demoting him to a 5th-rank lieutenant general. Seeing how pale I looked, Xiaodao tried to comfort me. Don't worry, miss. The eldest princess was a legendary transmigrator. Dazzling and peerless, she left this world in a blaze of glory. All the people in the city lit lanterns for her. She'll be just fine. I thought of that proud, straightforward woman who'd never let herself suffer a single grievance. I murmured, that's good then. I went back to my room to clean up, then hurried to the princess mansion. All the family carriages had been borrowed by Shu Anran to go outing with second brother outside the city. Eldest brother was leaning against the corridor, reading a book. He looked up in surprise when he saw me, his voice gentle. Jingmo, does your knee still hurt? I have some white jade ointment here. It was a stark contrast to his cold, businesslike attitude that day. He smiled and patted my head. Just apologize for this incident. Learn your lesson. You're both girls, no need to overthink things. I lowered my eyes. Yes, clutching the ointment tightly in my hand, I walked to the corner, then I quietly tossed it away, with no carriage available. I walked through the streets. On the way, I ran into Shwe Isu. He lifted the carriage curtain lazily, and when he saw me, his pair of peach blossom eyes lit up with a glint of amusement. Jingmo, let me give you a ride. I was about to refuse when he suddenly swept me off my feet, spinning me around in the air. I clung to him in fright. No need to be so polite with me. He grinned. Come on, it's on my way anyway. He'd always been able to read my mind. The carriage soon stopped at the princess mansion. The eldest princess's body hadn't been placed in the coffin yet. Her husband, the imperial consort, who was rumored to be cold and unfeeling, sat beside her, dead drunk. A girl in a pink dress knelt tremblingly nearby, holding a baby in her arms. Husband, it's all my fault. I angered the princess. I shouldn't have insisted on keeping this child. Get out, all of you. The man cut her off sharply, his voice thick with suppressed rage, his eyes blazing with cold fury. If it weren't for you people, she wouldn't have left. Everyone in the mansion fell to their knees in terror. Lord Shui slouched lazily beside him. Enough, pathetic. She was just a transmigrator. How could she have ever loved you sincerely? She was destined to leave sooner or later. This is just cutting your losses in time. I paused, staring straight ahead, not looking at him. Bai Yujin lay quietly on the bed. Even in death, she wore a flamboyant red dress. Her lips were curved in a faint smile, and she'd painted rouge on the corners of her eyes, as if mocking the world, as if she couldn't care less about any of this. I envied her courage to risk everything, envied her freedom to live and act as she pleased. Before I knew it, a dense drizzle had begun to fall. A sudden wave of loneliness washed over me. By the time I returned to the mansion, it was already late. The Shui Manor and the minister's mansion had always been on good terms. And Shui and I had grown up together as childhood sweethearts, so he stayed for dinner. Elsewhere at the table, Shu Anran was chattering excitedly to eldest brother about her day's adventures. She gestured animatedly with her hands. Second brother tried to climb a tree to get a bird's nest today, and he got scared by a grasshopper. He fell right off. Luckily, I reacted fast and caught him. Impressive, right? Second brother Shu Sheng slammed his palm on the table, his face turning bright red. Shu Anran, why did you have to say that out loud? Eldest brother Shu Jiang frowned, his expression darkening as he gave her a thorough once-over. After confirming she was unharmed, he smacked second brother on the head with a book. How could you let this happen to Anran? Shu Sheng clutched his head, protesting his innocence. Come on, how dare I let anything happen to her? I even ended up cushioning her fall. Shu Anran giggled beside him. The atmosphere at the table was warm and lively. I lowered my eyes. Even though Shu Anran was just a guest staying at our mansion, she always called my parents father and mother, my brother's elder brother and second brother. Just like I did, I'd stayed silent when she first started doing it, and she'd taken my hand with a cheerful smile. Sister, aren't we best friends? What's yours is mine, and what's mine is yours. Okay. I was lost in thought when Shui Isu pushed open the door, fanning himself lazily with a smile. Oh. Anran isn't afraid of grasshoppers. His gaze flicked to me. Unlike someone else who's such a coward when it comes to bugs, Shu Anran's face lit up. She punched him playfully in the chest. Of course not. I'm not like those delicate, stuck-up noble ladies. Shui Isu raised an eyebrow, pushing her away lazily. Enough. Try acting like a proper lady for once. Will you? Oh Tilda, acting like a proper lady Tilda. She drawled the words teasingly. Eldest brother cut in. Guests are here. Let's eat first. During the meal, second brother brought up the eldest princess slitting her throat to escape the world. He clicked his tongue in wonder, launching into a long-winded commentary. At the same time, mother and father were vying to serve Shu Anran the first bowl of rice. I bowed my head and picked up a green vegetable with my chopsticks, then suddenly spoke up. I want to leave too. The atmosphere froze instantly. For the first time, everyone's eyes turned to me, the girl who usually faded into the background. Then came second brother Shu Sheng's loud, boisterous laughter. Are you serious? Third sister, have you lost your mind from reading too many books? You want to escape this world too? Do you think you're some genius transmigrator like her? He laughed so hard he doubled over, clutching his stomach. I know the eldest princess could brew wine and make soap, but when have we ever heard of you having any special skills? I kept my expression calm, showing no emotion. I'd been an orphan since I was little. I'd never had the money to go to school. Compared to Bai Yujin, who'd studied abroad and was a born genius, my life had always been plain and unremarkable. 10 years ago, my best friend Bai Yujin had come running to me, excited. Hey Jingmo, I just got contacted by something called a system. Wanna come with me? She'd convinced me with just one sentence. Over there, you'll have both parents alive, and 2 older brothers who'll spoil you like a precious gem. You'll get to go to school since you were a kid, have a complete childhood. Oh, and I heard your fiancé is super handsome. I'd set down my cold takeout meal. Okay, I'm in. Seeing that I just kept my head down, not saying a word, Mother's tone softened, tears glistening in her eyes. Is this about Anran? It's all my fault. But Anran looks so much like your elder sister who died young. Every time I look at her, it breaks my heart. Please don't be angry anymore. Okay, I closed my eyes. It was always this excuse. Seeing Mother cry, Father's face darkened. That's enough, Jingmo. You've always been a sensible girl. The eldest princess is dead. Why are you getting worked up over this? Shu Anran glanced at me a few more times, muttering under her breath. She just wants the whole family to feel sorry for her. But she doesn't have any real skills. Does she really think anyone would care if she left? Eldest brother shot her a sharp look. You should spend more time reading and less time running your mouth. Shu Anran stuck out her tongue. I have a Zhuangyuan elder brother. Why do I need to study hard? Everyone pretended nothing had happened, laughing and chatting as if my words had never been spoken. I slowly picked at my food. I didn't say another word for the rest of the meal. Eventually, only Xue Isu and I were left at the table. I ate very slowly, unable to swallow a single bite. So they'd never believed me after all. All those times I'd mustered up my courage to open my heart to them. That little playful threat I'd made once. I'll tell you a secret, I'm a transmigrator. If you don't treat me well, I'll leave, and you'll never see me again. They'd never taken it seriously. My eyes stung with unshed tears. Xue Isu peeled another shrimp for me slowly. He knew I meant what I said, but he didn't care. Your best friend was independent and intelligent, a wealthy young lady back in the modern world. But what do you have? He carefully wiped a grain of rice from the corner of my mouth. Be good. Don't copy everything she does. It's stupid. Go to bed early. Tomorrow, I'll take you to pick out a hunting horse to celebrate your promotion to lady official. Xue Isu's voice was soft and tender. His lips brushed against my ear, but I turned my head away. He didn't get angry. Instead, he smiled and brushed off his robes. You should be looking forward to next month. I lifted my eyes. He grinned, looking triumphant. Next month, I'm going to marry you. Then he left. I lay down on my bed. Suddenly, a clear female voice rang out in my head. Jingmo, you look terrible. What's wrong? I sat up abruptly. A transparent screen materialized in front of my eyes. It was by Yujin. Nothing. She was lying on her 10-meter-wide bed back home, munching on potato chips. She winked at me mischievously. Jingmo, did you go to the princess mansion today? I nodded. Is that bastard husband of mine drowning in regret now? Ph. He'll be suffering for a long time to come. I already poisoned that concubine's baby, and I hid the garrison defense map in his study. She laughed so hard she kicked her legs in the air. And that old hag from the general's mansion. I'm done playing their games. They thought they could tie me down with a baby, as if I'd ever care. Slept with him for a few years for free. Total win. Bai Yujin lifted her chin proudly. I smiled and played along. Yeah, they'll definitely regret losing you. She stuck out her tongue. Serves them right. Bai Yujin turned her gaze to me. What about you? Your strategy completion rate must be almost full, right? But you're definitely going to stay, aren't you? Before I could reply, she let out a long sigh. Honestly, your identity here is pretty great, loved by your family. A childhood sweetheart fiancé, no messy drama around you, unlike mine, with a suspicious imperial brother-in-law and a husband who took several concubines. She propped her chin in her hands, smiling at me. Jingmo, you're so lucky. I bet you'd choose this family over the 10 million yuan. Besides, Shuerisu loves you so much. Fine. When you get married later, can I come watch the wedding? My voice suddenly rose. I don't want to stay. She stopped talking, her eyes widening in shock. Jingmo, are you joking? What's wrong with you? Did that Shu Anran stir up trouble again? But she's not capable of causing any real waves. She's just a nobody. Trust the system's completion rate. Whether in the minister's mansion or in Shuerisu's heart, She's not even worth one strand of your hair. I lowered my eyes. I did trust it. But sometimes people could be so stubborn. It was like a thorn in the flesh, something that gnawed away at you relentlessly. Eugen didn't care because she'd always treated this place like a game. Nothing could shake her resolve. But me, I'd actually started to care, and it hurt so much that I could barely stand straight. The screen cut off. I realized I was crying. Tears streamed down my face. Unstoppable. I summoned the system. What's my current strategy completion rate? Host. Both the minister's mansion's favorability and Shwerisu's favorability have stagnated at 90% and haven't moved an inch since. It tried to comfort me. 90% is already very high. I didn't say anything. Ever since that cousin Shu Anran came to the mansion last year, I'd fought with them countless times. I'd abandoned my usual quiet and gentle demeanor, becoming sharp and aggressive. The favorability rate had never gone up again. I'd also stopped asking about it. It was just a number. After all, I knew they loved me. That should have been enough. The system had tried to persuade me before. Host. Sometimes all it takes is a small apology, and the favorability will max out. I'd refused. Back then. I'd thought I didn't want to go back. After all, system, is the 10 million yuan reward still valid? Of course. I let out a sigh of relief. With 10 million yuan, I could find any kind of family I wanted, buy any kind of man I wanted. I lay awake until dawn. Early in the morning, commotion came from outside my door. When I got up, the maids waiting on me all hung their heads, not daring to meet my eyes. I was about to ask what was going on when second brother Shu Sheng stepped in front of me. We hadn't exchanged a civil word in ages. He shifted awkwardly from foot to foot, stammering, "Third sister, you look really well today. It's just, this hairpin is all dented. It doesn't look nice. I'll buy you a new one." I touched the jade hairpin in my hair, replying slowly, "But this is the one you gave me. Remember, Shu Anran wanted to snatch it, and you told me to give it to her. It ended up falling on the ground and getting broken." His face turned a little pale. I went on. "I fixed it myself. Took me ages." Seeing me walking toward the main hall, he whistled nervously. "Third sister, the fish in the river must be biting well today. Why don't we go?" I stopped in my tracks. "I thought you hated hanging out with me before." Not far away, Shu Anran came running out, brimming with excitement. "Second brother, there you are. I got first place in the palace examination." I turned slowly to look at the man standing behind me, his expression awkward. Oh. So I'd been eliminated. He was afraid I'd be upset. Inside the main hall, father sat in the seat of honor, drinking tea, his expression unreadable. I bowed to him. "Father, may I ask, was there something wrong with my exam paper?" He didn't say a word. Eldest brother, sitting off to the side, spoke up quietly. "Jingmo, don't blame father. It was me who reported you. There was a crease on the edge of your paper. An untidy paper is a serious offense for someone like you." He frowned. "You've been distracted lately, letting your mind wander too much. You've become far too lax." "I see." Father stood up and walked over to me, his voice strained. "You can take the female official exam again next year." I glanced at the girls standing nearby, cheering and jumping for joy. Shu Anran cowered behind him. "Are you accusing me of sabotage? I'm just a poor girl living under someone else's roof. I'd never dare to offend a proper young lady like you. How could I ever be lucky enough to get first place? I have no family to speak of. How could someone like you ever understand?" Tears glistened in her eyes, as if this kind of self-pitying act was something she pulled every day. When mother heard this, her face fell, heavy with sympathy. I spoke slowly, my voice soft. "I have no family either. I'm just as pitiful as you are, I suppose." My words were quiet, but eldest brother Shu Jiang, standing beside me, paled visibly. "Jingmo," I cut him off. Looking around at everyone in the hall, I asked seriously, "Father, are you happy?" He turned his face away. "Naturally I'm happy for her. When one member of the family gains honor, all share in it. I let out a long breath, my eyes curved into a smile. Then I won't be sad anymore, Father. I want you to be happy every day from now on. Happy enough that you won't grieve when I leave. Everyone froze. The powerful minister of war, a man known for his stern and solemn demeanor, suddenly covered his face, unable to speak. Favorability is increasing. Walking out of the mansion gates, I looked at this world properly for the first time. I'd lived here for 16 years, thinking of it as the perfect home. Shwerisu was right. I hadn't wanted to leave. I hadn't wanted to face the reality back in my world, parents dead in a car crash, no one to rely on. But if the dream wasn't perfect anymore, it was time to wake up. I was browsing ink slabs and paper at a stationery shop when Xu Jiang walked up behind me, his steps slow and deliberate. His voice was calm, even. Third sister, you're lying. You're clearly heartbroken right now, aren't you? I met his gaze. He opened his mouth, as if he wanted to explain, but I cut him off. Eldest brother, you've come at the perfect time. Help me pick out an ink slab, will you? I lowered my eyes, flipping through the ink slabs on the counter casually. The first ink slab I ever owned was the one you gave me. Xu Jiang froze, his hands hanging by his sides clenched into tight fists. I smiled at him brightly. Buy me an ink slab, and I'll forgive my dear brother. Deal. After a long, long silence, he finally whispered, okay. He bought me the most expensive one in the shop. Favorability is increasing. Huh, why is that, host? My expression was unreadable, his feeling guilty, and I didn't get angry at him just now. I watched Xu Jiang's retreating back ahead of me. I loosened my grip on the ink slab. The thousand-tail piece slipped from my fingers and shattered on the ground. I went boating on the lake, ate rice candy cakes, and had a clay figurine made for myself. I sat down and had a proper talk with the woman who'd been my mother in this world. She'd lived a life of luxury and privilege, cherished by her husband. Her only regret was my elder sister, who died at a young age. When she looked at me silently for the third time, tears streaming down her face, my heart wept too. Mother, don't cry. Are you going to ask me to give something else to Xu Anran again? We're mother and daughter. There's nothing I wouldn't give you. Her voice was almost a sob, but she surprised me by asking something else entirely. Are you going to leave? I fell silent, then repeated the same words I'd said before. If someone truly loves me, I'll be reluctant to go. She relaxed, letting out a breath she didn't know she'd been holding. I owe Anran 3 promises. The last one. I want to let her marry the man she loves. I didn't say anything. Mother squeezed my hand tightly. This is the last time. I swear, from now on, I'll do everything I can to make up for my neglect of you. Her voice trailed off, breaking into tears. She'd watched us grow up together. She knew that I'd embroidered my first sachet for Shwerisu when I was 9 years old. She knew that I'd worked so hard to pass the female official exam because I wanted to stand side by side with him. She knew that when we were children, Shwerisu had gotten into a fight with several boys over a candied hawthorn for me and ended up bedridden for 3 days. She knew that neither of us had ever missed a single important moment in each other's lives. I let out a soft sigh. Helpless, I said. Mother, it's just a matter of changing the engagement. There's no need to make it so difficult. They're quite well matched. Congratulations to them. The minister's wife stared at me, stunned, as if she couldn't believe her ears. Jingmo, are you serious? Don't worry, you're my daughter. Even without the title of the Marquis's wife, I'll find you someone even better. The current crown prince is missing a secondary consort, isn't he? I'll go beg the Empress Dowager to let you be his primary consort in the future. Or that young general guarding the border, he's always liked you too. I smiled, listening to her ramble on. Favorability is increasing. The system fell silent for a moment. Host, there is a dysfunction in the menumean neurotransmitter function within your central nervous system. So, host, you are extremely sad right now. That one sentence almost made my tears spill over. My throat felt tight, burning with unshed tears. I picked up the teacup in front of me, forcing myself to swallow the lump in my throat, holding back the tears. I couldn't cry. If I did, Mother would feel guilty. She would be heartbroken. Sometimes I hated her, but I loved her too. Congratulations, host. The beloved daughter of the minister's mansion strategy mission completion rate has reached 100%. I murmured to myself. Then only Shwe-Isu is left. By the time I returned to the mansion, it was already afternoon. Shwe-Isu was still leaning against the gate, waiting for me. He'd always been so patient with me. He plucked a blade of grass lazily, twirling it between his fingers as he teased the horse in front of him. In his other hand, he held a jug of strong liquor and a paper bag of pastries from the Golden Osmanthus restaurant. Hey, can't I have some? I've been craving these pastries for ages. Xuanran lifted the hem of her dress, standing on tiptoe to try and snatch the bag from him. Shwe-Isu smiled, holding the bag high above his head. Stop messing around. These are for Jingmo. Your sister just got promoted to lady official today. She didn't get promoted. I did. The girl stamped her foot angrily. The pastries are mine, and you're mine too. As soon as the words left her mouth, both of them froze. Shwe-Isu turned around, and his eyes met mine. He quickly held up his hands in a gesture of surrender, his peach blossom eyes sparkling with amusement. Jingmo, you can't blame me for this, right? I copied his gesture, spreading my hands. I said helplessly, I don't blame you. Also, don't come looking for me anymore. Your fiancé has been replaced. The look of joy hadn't even fully spread across Xuanran's face when Shwe-Isu let out a cold laugh. The jug of liquor and the paper bag of pastries crashed to the ground, spilling everywhere. Oh, replaced by who? Does she even deserve to be compared to you? Before I could step inside the mansion, he grabbed my wrist tightly. I struggled. But he spun me around, pinning me against the wall. He was careful enough to cushion the back of my head with his hand. Jingmo, wasn't marrying me your lifelong dream? His voice was low, hoarse with emotion. Are you going back on your word? Yes. Shwe-Isu stared at me intently, his thumb brushing gently against the corner of my eye. Liar. He'd always been so observant. Jingmo, what's really going on? Tell me, and I'll take you back and make them pay. Xuanran clutched the hem of her dress tightly, panic flickering across her face. I couldn't help but glance at her. Would you like me to help you draft the next chapter of this story to keep the plot going? Shwe-Isu raised an eyebrow, letting out a sigh of relief. It can't just be about a silly female official position. Right. He shook his head with a laugh, releasing his grip on me, still acting like a child. There's a female official exam every year, anyway. Besides, why do you even want this so badly? I can just beg the imperial grandmother to grant you a position for fun. Of course, a noble scion like him. How could he ever understand me? My voice was calm and steady. I want to study. That has nothing to do with you. Shwe-Isu sighed in resignation. Fine, fine. But this has nothing to do with Anran, does it? I can spoil you unconditionally. But isn't it unfair to pick on an innocent little girl? He said it tentatively. I know your eldest brother well. He's a notorious sister protector. If even he deemed your paper unqualified, then, a look of triumph flashed across Xuanran's face. I didn't glance at her. My eyes drifted past the red walls of the mansion, as if I were lost in a distant daze. He still couldn't bear to hurt Xuanran. I cut him off gently. Shwe-Isu, didn't you promise to take me horse hunting? Is that offer still good? I had some final words to say to him alone. Xuanran huffed in dissatisfaction. You didn't even get the official position. Why do you need to learn how to? Shush. Shwe-Isu broke into that handsome smile of his gaze locking onto mine. In the past, whenever I changed the subject like this, it meant I'd given up the argument, conceded defeat. But his words were directed at Xuanran. Your sister's upset right now. She can't do without me. I'll take you tomorrow. Off you go. Xuanran bit her lip, stomping away resentfully. Before she left, she shot me a glare, muttering under her breath, Honestly, ancient women are so dramatic, it's just a lousy official position. And she's acting like it's the end of the world. She looks like a walking corpse. I couldn't help but touch my own face. Was it that obvious already? Shwerisu looked at me worriedly. You look extremely pale. This is the horse I gave you. I reached out to stroke the white horse tethered nearby. Back then, you said it was too delicate, not imposing enough, not your style. He froze for a moment, then smiled and played along. Yeah, but after riding it for a while, I found that I actually liked it quite a bit. I guess you get used to these things. He let out a sharp whistle, swinging himself up onto the horse's back in one fluid motion. He held out a hand to me. Hold on tight. Shwerisu carried me through the winding streets and alleys all the way to the hunting grounds on the outskirts of the city. He knocked an arrow to his bow, turning his head to grin at me. Want that rabbit? I'll make you a pair of fluffy rabbit fur gloves. I shook my head, taking the bow and arrow from his hand. I said, let me give it a try. You know how to shoot. Do you want me to teach you? I shook my head again. The first arrow I loosed embedded itself in a peach blossom tree. A shower of pink petals fluttered down around us. Shwerisu, do you remember the first time we met? I told you right then that I don't belong in this era. He brushed the petals off his shoulders. I remember, you told me stories about your world, about how every girl there could be independent, not having to rely on anyone else. A flicker of pain crossed his eyes. You said you'd had terrible luck since childhood. That you had no family left. But, lucky for you, you ended up here. I didn't react. I told you that by Eugen and I came to this world to complete a mission, that once the mission was done, we'd have to leave. I narrowed my eyes, drawing the bowstring again. The second arrow pierced a crack in the rock beside the tree. A grey rabbit scurried out in alarm. Shwerisu stiffened, his smile fading completely. But you also said you wouldn't leave, didn't you? Everything changes. My voice was cold and indifferent. I aimed at the grey rabbit, releasing my grip. The arrow pierced straight through its chest. Shwerisu's eyes narrowed as he watched the rabbit fall. He looked visibly stunned, just like I never told you I could shoot arrows, and you never even bothered to wonder. I tossed the bow aside. Last March, you took Shu Anran to the Imperial hunt. I begged you to take me with you, but you said you were worried about me because I couldn't shoot arrows. Couldn't ride a horse well enough. I cried for hours after that, every night. I snuck out to practice archery in secret. He stared at me, his expression clearly flustered now. I lowered my head, my voice trembling slightly. But when March came around again this year, you still took Shu Anran with you. You said she'd cried, that I'd been spoiled too much and needed to be taught a lesson. Tears spilled down my cheeks, but I brushed them away roughly, as if they were nothing, every time. You said you didn't care about her at all, but every time, you chose her without a second thought. You thought it was just a game, that I'd always be there, clinging to you, and I did like you, so much. I wanted nothing more than to be with you. You know I'd never had anyone treat me well before. I'm not like by Eugen. The tears kept coming, faster now, no matter how hard I tried to wipe them away. But now I finally understand. You looked down on me all along. Bai Eugen could leave whenever she wanted, but you thought I was too weak to survive without you all. Fear suddenly washed over Shwerisu's face. His hands began to shake violently as he pulled me into a tight, desperate embrace. Don't say these things, please. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Don't look at me like this. I pulled back slightly, a cunning smile spreading across my face. You thought I couldn't leave you, so you lied to the system and to me. Your affection level was always 100%. Which means, I can leave now. Congratulations, host. Mission completed. Preparing for extraction. Countdown. 10, 9. My body began to feel light, as if it were dissolving into thin air. He stumbled backward, falling to his knees, his hands grasping at empty air as he tried in vain to hold on to me. Reverse the affection level. Now, why isn't it working? WHY? His eyes turned bloodshot. his voice dropping to a hoarse, deranged growl. I closed my eyes for a moment. Even now, his only thought was to trap me here forever. Jingmo, are you really going to abandon everyone, even me? I couldn't bring myself to answer. 3, 2, 1, no. The last thing I heard was his agonized scream, echoing through the hunting grounds. Congratulations, host. You have completed the strategy mission in 16 years and 8 months. The 10 million yuan reward will be transferred to your bank account within 12 hours. Wish you a happy life. As the mechanical voice faded away, a wave of dizziness washed over me, and I slowly descended from the air. Bai Yujin let out a cheer, throwing her arms around me in a tight hug. Jingmo, welcome home. I knew you were the best. How was it? Was it satisfying watching them all regret it? Serves that scheming little bitch right. I smiled weakly. It was, all right. I guess. I gently pushed her away. Let's not talk about that anymore. I'm starving. She patted her chest confidently. Name your poison, anything you want. No holds barred. I just want a bowl of noodles. Bai Yujin poked me playfully on the forehead. Silly girl, noodles. Haven't you had enough of those over there? We're having barbecue. Then I'm taking you clubbing. Shuerisu's just a pretty face. Anyway, with 10 million yuan, you can get any guy you want. She let out a low whistle. I thought about it for a moment, then grinned. You're right. I'm actually in the mood for a new relationship. She jumped up and down with excitement, grabbing my hand and dragging me toward the door. Let's go, our ice queen's finally thawing. This is the happiest day of my life as your pseudomom, I added slowly, as we walked. I want someone gentle, preferably a little bit scheming. I like the laid-back, lazy type. Rich would be a plus, oh, and good-looking, of course. Bai Yujin rolled her eyes. Fine, you greedy little thing. You've got such high standards. Late that night, I took out my keys and unlocked the door to my tiny, shabby rental apartment. Even the cold, leftover takeout box from that day was still sitting on the table. It all felt like a distant, surreal dream. After showering and changing into my pajamas, I lay down on the bed and immediately booked a spacious high-rise apartment online. The next day, I found myself standing in front of an orphanage. My eyes landed on the toughest-looking girl there, her head bowed, her eyes cold and indifferent. I knelt down beside her, smiling softly. Hey, kid, wanna help me beat people up? She peeked up at me, confused. Help me fight anyone who bullies me. You beat them to a pulp. Always stand by my side. Deal. It was clear she'd never been asked such a question before. She whispered hesitantly. Does that mean I'll have a home now? A warm, happy feeling bubbled up in my chest. Yep, and I'll have a family, too. A few days later, I went to see the young owner of the noodle shop downstairs. He'd been stealing glances at me for ages, always sneaking extra beef into my bowl whenever I ordered. We'd exchanged WeChat IDs a while back. His name was Jiyu Jingjiao, and he'd helped me out more times than I could count. I curled my lips into a smile, slurping the noodles contentedly. So good. His face turned bright red. I lowered my head, my voice soft as I said, "You look a lot like one of my brothers." My words were so quiet, he didn't hear them. "Can you be my brother? I really want a family." He stared at me in shock. I held up my fingers, counting off on them. A family, with a brother, a sister, a little sister. That would be perfect. Okay. Jiyu Jingjiao smiled, his eyes warm. Then your big brother's treating you to noodles from now on. No more refusing. Got it, Amham. I nodded obediently, and just like that, we became a family of sorts. Jiyu Jingjiao was an amazing cook, and he could fix just about anything, from leaky faucets to broken light bulbs. He was also a math teacher. The little girl's name was Lu Tiaro. She was possessive and fiercely protective, and she clung to me like glue. Every time Jiyu Jingjiao tried to tutor Lu Tiaro in her homework, he'd end up so frustrated he'd want to pull his hair out. I'd laugh so hard I'd roll off the bed. When my best friend Yujin came to visit me one day, accompanied by a handful of handsome male models, no less, she clicked her tongue in amazement. 3 strangers with completely different last names. And you're all living together like a real, loving family. I even tried dating a few guys. Jiu Jingjiao would size them up coolly, shaking his head every time. This one's no good, too ugly. This one's a player. This one's too short. I'd nod thoughtfully. You have a point. At the end of January, in the depths of winter, I had my first New Year's Eve dinner with my family. I dragged Yujin out of bed kicking and screaming, "You're having New Year's Eve dinner with me." No arguments. Just then, the system, which I hadn't heard from in ages, suddenly appeared. It sounded tired, its tone conflicted. "Host, the world is collapsing." I paused mid-chop while washing vegetables, then continued as if nothing had happened. Yujin jumped up from the couch, her eyes widening. "What? Did that bastard husband of mine rebel and dig up my corpse?" "No, it's the Marquis. No one saw this coming. He was supposed to be a minor character in the plot." It glanced at me. The ever-righteous minister's mansion forged an imperial edict, seizing the opportunity to stir up chaos and throw the country into turmoil. I asked slowly, "Why?" "Shui Isu is searching for the elixir of immortality. He needs countless rare elixirs and powerful sorcerers." Yujin fell silent, her eyes wide. "No way, he's that obsessed. He's gathering the entire country's resources just to bring you back to life." The system's voice was flat and emotionless. To a character destined to be alone, a 100% strategy completion rate, how could he not be utterly, hopelessly in love? "Would you like me to help you write a sequel snippet that continues this story, showing what happens when Shui Isu tries to cross over to the modern world?" It turned to look at me. "I'm sorry, host, I never wanted to come to you, but every single girl who looks like you, acts like you, or shares your name didn't survive past 3 days." The system played a video for me. Shui Isu wiped the blood off his sword lazily. The ground was littered with the mangled bodies of various transmigrated women. Suddenly, as if he'd sensed something, his gaze locked onto the camera tightly. "System, I know you're watching. I'm still making the same demand. Bring Jingmo back to me. Let her capture my heart all over again. Otherwise, I'll destroy this entire world." The screen crackled and flickered. "It's still 10 million yuan, if you're unwilling to." I raised an eyebrow, squatting down to pat Lu Tiaro's head. "Want to live in a huge mansion?" "Yes," I said casually. Tiaro, remember to beat those bad guys to a pulp for me." Jiu Jingjiao's expression remained unchanged. "I can cook. Take me with you." "Sure," I smiled. It would be a lie to say I didn't hold a grudge. "I'm back. This time, I returned in my modern-day appearance. No one would recognize me. The system indicated that we'd been teleported to the outer city." Lu Tiaro was full of curiosity, her eyes fixed on a candid hawthorn stall. As she tugged me over, an elegant old lady from a noble family was standing in front of us. The old lady fell silent for a long while, then pulled out a gold ingot. "Buy all of them, my daughter loves these." Lu Tiaro's eyes widened. "All of them." The vendor wore a respectful expression. "I'm sorry, little girl. This is a noble lady from the Duke's mansion. I can't afford to offend her." I comforted Lu Tiaro gently. "It's okay. I can make them myself. I'll show you my skills later." Over at the stall, the old lady, who was being helped into her carriage, froze suddenly. She spun around to look at me, her gaze intense. Our eyes met for a moment before I looked away. "Young lady, do you like candid hawthorns too?" I smiled and waved a hand. "No, not really anymore. They're too sweet." A tear slipped from the corner of her eye. The maid beside her grew flustered. Madam." I turned and walked away, feeling a little confused. Should I know her? The system glanced back. "Host, I forgot to tell you. In the blink of an eye, so much time has passed. 20 years have gone by in this world." My steps halted. "So that Duchess just now, she was your mother from back then?" I stared at the ground. "I don't have a mother. I only have a brother and a little sister. Suddenly, a peach came flying at me from behind. Jiu Jingjiao reacted quickly, pulling me out of the way just in time. A man in his 30s, dressed in a flamboyant purple robe and still acting like a reckless youth, whistled at me. Hey there, you look really familiar. How about 10 taels of silver to come catch grasshoppers with me? I lifted my eyes to look at him, refusing flatly. No, you like dropping grasshoppers down my skirt. His expression changed drastically. At that moment, Lu Tiaro hopped over and sank her teeth into his hand. Don't you dare bully my sister, Shu Sheng yelped in pain, shaking his hand violently. Where did you come from, you brat? Who do you think she is? She's my own little sister. I'd never bully her. Liar. Sister said she only has one brother. Lu Tiaro planted her feet firmly, hands on her hips, and declared proudly, it's my brother Jingjiao. The man's eyes widened in shock. A wave of agony washed over his face. Jingmo, are you really not wanting your second brother anymore? I shrugged indifferently. Second brother always preferred other little sisters. Second brother always thought I was boring and rigid. He opened his mouth to say something more, but I cut him off. I didn't come back to see you. I have business to attend to, so I'll be leaving now. Shu Sheng stood there, his eyes red, keeping a distance from me. He didn't dare to stop me. Come back to the mansion sometime. Everyone misses you so much. Lu Tiaro trotted along beside me, asking curiously, is the mansion a fun place? It's no fun at all. There's a sister there who eats little kids. I took her hand. Heading toward the palace, I said, we need to hurry. But fate is always this cruel, this absurd. I never wanted to see any of my old friends and family again, yet they popped up one after another, clinging to me, worming their way into my life at every turn. Jingmo. When I heard that soft, familiar voice, I closed my eyes tightly. How did you recognize me? Big brother. Shu Jiang, dressed in an official's crimson robe, stepped slowly down from his carriage. He was the first to recognize me, and yet, his expression was the calmest, the most composed of all, as if he'd known all along that I would come back eventually. Perhaps it's the telepathy between siblings. I lifted my eyes. When our gazes met, I suddenly realized how much I loathed that perpetually unflustered look of his. Jingmo, Xuanran is already dead. Do you still hold a grudge against us? My eyelashes fluttered. I replied slowly, flatly, I'm sorry. Please step aside. A flicker of emotion crossed his face. A rustling sound came from inside the carriage. A pretty, delicate woman poked her head out, eyeing me with curiosity. You must be little sister Jingmo. Then, she held out a hand. Shu Jiang talks about you all the time. I reached out to cut her off, smiling politely. Hello, sister-in-law. She didn't seem offended in the least, cradling the infant in her arms gently. Come here, Moa. This is your real aunt. Doesn't she look just as beautiful as your father? The child stretched out a tiny hand. Tentatively, it curled around the hem of my dress. A jumble of complicated emotions welled up in my chest. I patted the child's head lightly. Yes, very cute. Shu Jiang watched me silently, his gaze unreadable. I pried the child's fingers loose from my dress gently. Goodbye. The light in Big Brother's eyes dimmed suddenly. His voice remained steady, calm. Goodbye. Let them pass, he said. The guards at the palace gate stepped aside respectfully. It wasn't until my figure had faded behind the palace walls that I heard a faint sigh drifting after me. Take good care of yourself. The system spoke up. Host, don't blame your father. It's not that he didn't want to come see you. He passed away from illness 10 years ago. I fell silent. I didn't ask you. He scratched his head and vanished. Just a guess. Never mind if I got it wrong. The sunlight was perfect. A smile spread across Xue Isu's lips. It was the smile of someone greeting an old friend after a long separation. As if he were inviting me over for a cup of tea. He wasn't wearing a dragon robe, no royal ornaments adorning his person. Instead, he wore that gaudy crimson robe I'd given him 3 years ago, in a fit of pique. I folded my arms across my chest. No tea,
No nostalgic chit-chat. Also, this sculpture is hideous. Stop carving it. He fell silent. I stared at him intently. Time really had passed. So much time. Fine lines had crept around his eyes, and his hair, when he turned fully to face me. I stumbled back a step in shock. Your hair, it's completely white. He looked faintly chagrined. I'm sorry, Jingmo. I'd planned to dye it back with ink paste. I wanted to be perfect for you when I saw you. His eyes lit up with a brilliant, almost desperate glow. But I didn't expect you to come so early. As if overcome with joy, he dropped his carving knife and strode toward me. Jingmo, so you came to see? I raised an eyebrow, twisting the knife in the wound deliberately. I didn't. Even the sight of you disgusts me. I've long since forgotten all about this world. You know, guess what? I've got 10 million now. I have a new family. I planted my hands on my hips, preening with pride. They treat me far better than you ever did. I'm happier than I've ever been. His figure swayed unsteadily. He let out a bitter laugh. Is that so? If I'd known then what I know now, I never would have come here to charm you for that 10 million. I regret it more than anything. Agony flashed across Shueisu's face as he reached out for me. I braced myself for him to draw his sword. Instead, he pulled me into a gentle, trembling embrace. His voice cracked with sobs. Jingmo, do they hold you like this, too? Do they know how afraid you are of the cold? Do they know that your favorite color is actually red? But you're too shy to admit it. He smiled through his tears. Do they know that you spent ages picking out this robe for me, only to toss it at me angrily when someone said it was ugly? A dull ache throbbed in my chest, like a scabbed-over wound being torn open again. I pulled the hairpin from my hair and drove it straight into his chest. Get away from me. What does it matter that you know all these things? You lied to me for years. I hate you. Shueisu didn't dodge. If anything, he pressed himself closer to me. His fingers brushed my eyebrows and eyes tenderly. Jingmo, I'm old now, but you're still as beautiful as ever. That was when I noticed his eyes were a terrifying, bloodshot red. His vision was clearly failing him. The system clicked its tongue in amazement, chipping in. Host, he deserves it. Actually, the young Marquis's hair turned white overnight the day you left. When people whispered that you were a blood-sucking monster, he just smiled and pulled out his blade, killing them all, their blood splattering his face. It took another glance. That's why his eyes are red now. Sensing my stare, Shueisu looked flustered. He covered his eyes with his hands. Jingmo, don't look, I'm hideous. The sun dipped below the horizon outside the window. I turned my face away, feigning impatience. Like I care. I wiped the wetness from my cheeks. I know. Now that I'm here, you'll never let me leave. I grinned maliciously. But I came back to watch you squirm, to make you sick with envy, to disgust you. You have no idea how miserable I was when I first told you I wanted to leave. Too bad. Everyone laughed at me back then. I even thought it was ridiculous myself. I shrugged. Whatever. Go ahead and threaten me with the mission completion value. I don't care if I die here with you. I leaned in, whispering in his ear. Even if I die, I'll make the system take my body away. I won't let my soul be tainted by this place. Shueisu stared at me in stunned silence before breaking down into heart-wrenching sobs. I watched him crumble, my legs crossed lazily, my expression bored. Are you done crying? You wanted me to charm you again, didn't you? Fine. Let's start from the beginning, the day we first met. It was on a long bridge, wasn't it? I lent you my umbrella. This time, I won't. I'm going home. Shueisu suddenly lifted his head. Jingmo, we don't have to start over, because from the very first moment we met, my affection for you was 100%. It still is. It never changed. Between us, there was never any need for you to charm me. I only said that because I just wanted to see you one more time. My brows furrowed as he drove his long sword straight into his own chest. He spoke through gritted teeth, his voice barely a whisper, and, to say I'm sorry. He summoned his last ounce of strength to reach for my hand, but I pulled away. He smiled faintly, not the least bit angry. Shueisu's fingers curled tightly around the wooden sculpture's hand. Whether it's love or hate, I just want you to remember me for the rest of your life. Jingmo, for the rest of your days. You'll never be able to forget me. I watched silently as his eyes fluttered closed. Maybe, but who can say what the future holds? By the time I stepped out of the hall, evening had fallen. Jiu Jingjiao had reheated the meal over and over again, and Lu Tiaro came bounding toward me, a candied hawthorn stick clutched in her hand, her face lit up with joy.